Good morning, everybody. It's about almost 10:30. It's the 15th of February 2025, and somebody asked me to go to a place with woods, and I was thinking, oh, I'll do that in maybe in a couple of videos, but I thought today is actually a decent day for that. Unfortunately, again, the temperature is like minus 10 or minus 11 or so. It depends, I guess, if the wind blows or not. And I am at Partizanski Platz, and I think this is the oldest shopping mall in Belarus, so if I've heard properly. Anyways, it's quite old, kind of strange in there. Look, they got a pyramid over there, just like the Louvre. I don't know. And strange, I didn't notice that they painted these weird sculptures here. There's a couple of them. I don't really know what they are. This hotel, which you're looking at right now, this was during the Soviet times. This was a place where foreigners stayed when they came to Belarus, when they came here into Minsk. And I don't know how many hotels were in Minsk at that time, but it's got restaurant and bar and all that sort of thing. But it's strange, so just foreigners, not really Belarusians, maybe from other cities. But I don't know, very strange. That's how that is. And I'm going to be going to the woods, but at the moment I will first take you by probably one of the newest shopping malls in Belarus. I'm not exactly sure how much it is decked out inside or not, but makes you wonder. There's one right here, and then there's another one right there. I don't know why they would build another one so close by. Maybe, I wonder if that one's gonna be scrapped or something. You never know. So, but I can talk news a little bit as I go along. That guy had a pretty nice coat. Well, maybe not. I need to get another winter coat at some point in time. I like this one. This is my weekend coat. I don't want to waste it. When you get these nice M65 Alpha Industries field jackets, they're hot items. They look pretty good. And I've seen people wearing them also sometimes here in Belarus, but they're a hot item to get stolen. So this one I try to hang on to, and I even had patches sewn on, as you see. This is similar to the patch I wore. I was in 7th Army, headquartered, actually it's headquartered in Stuttgart, but I was stationed at the Army headquarters working for the commanding general in Heidelberg. And we would have that patch as well. This one says Berlin on it, so it's like similar, the flaming sword, just as similar as the one from the 7th Army. So anyway, as a matter of fact, Stuttgart, that's also, believe it or not, still the place for the African Command for the U.S. Army. They were looking for a place to put it in Africa, and I think they slotted Somalia, but it's too wild and crazy there. And then I think one of the objectives was to put it in Libya after the United States overthrew the government there at some point in time. Well, NATO overthrew it, but I guess that never happened. So, it's got a nice display here, so I'm just going to go a little bit closer. Makes you wonder if they could ever afford something like this to run this bright screen in, well, here, look at this. They don't have many of these old streetcars here in Belarus, so it's only in this area around Partizanski. So, what happened? They heard, oh, I thought they shut it down. But let's get a little closer to this big screen here. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, better ones in some other places, more really strange. So let me this is the woods I'm going to be going to over here. But this is not a tourist video. I'll be talking about the news pretty soon. So maybe if you don't like news, you can shut it off when it gets that far. Here's a big mural. They have some sister murals very much like this in other parts of Belarus, and I've shown them too. Probably the same person, and I'm not quite sure what that signifies. It looks like a king and something else, but I don't know. I'm not even sure if all these places are rented out. I think this opened up, this mall, maybe I don't know, some months ago. I wonder if I should duck down and go through here. I'm not quite sure where it ends up for me to get over to those woods. I think, as a matter of fact, I have to go through there. I don't think there's a crosswalk over there to get to that other side. You know, but some old Soviet things here, you know, it's pretty interesting. Like this building here, I think that's I don't know what it ever was there, but it's probably a place where you can play games and gamble and stuff. If you see that in the distance. I'll get a little closer when I cross the road. But, okay, well, maybe I should start talking about news now. Let's get to this here. Well, before I do that, let me mention YouTube. Yesterday, the video I was trying to download, they were playing some really, really strange games with me. They would not take my video. They kept, you know, saying uploading, you know, as soon as I did it. So that's some lady looking at me. Probably never seen anybody vlogging before. But yeah, it was, they were taking forever to upload it, and it just kept saying upload. So then I said, well, okay, I'm gonna wait this out. So I waited like 5 hours, and it kept saying uploading. And it never showed like 1% or something like that. Usually I always do. So then I said, okay, I'll stop. So I stopped it, and then I tried to upload it again, and it was doing the same thing. And then I was like changing some of the words around, and I'm thinking that's what it was. They didn't like maybe the title that I was using. So I changed some words, and some of you might have saw the video early on. Because it was getting late, I was going to bed by the time it was uploading, and it was very slow at that. They really like to do that to me for some odd reason, YouTube. I don't understand why, because it normally always takes at least 3 or 4 hours for me to upload a 30-minute video. And one time, I even mentioned it, I had a video, and I think it took like 20 minutes to upload, and it's like, what's going on here? 20 minutes? How did that happen? You know, I think somebody was asleep at the switch, and then I had like how many, 6 views in 5 minutes or something. What the heck? Normally I don't have more than 2 or 3 in the first 15, 20 minutes. And then I had, I don't know, I had 7 or something. And then I think they caught up with themselves and started slowing it down. And then at times, I've noticed at least twice, when I have, you know, you look and you have registered as 57 views, and then the next time you look, it's 42 views. It's like, what the heck? So, you know, they play games, unfortunately. A lot of people even talked about that. I think, you know, they suppress videos and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know. I'm not monetized. Maybe that's the deal, so they don't get any money for that. You know, it's just theories. So, and believe it or not, when I was working with Dave, you know, from the other side, and he was putting the videos on YouTube and on Rumble, and it has to be because of what we're saying on these videos, because normally I knew this from before, because when I was on Rumble and on YouTube, I would get hardly anything on Rumble, and it's like, well, what kind of a platform is this? You know, you get like, I don't know, you get 4 times more on YouTube, but then it was much different for us then, because we were getting like maximum maybe 20 views on YouTube. At the same time, we were getting, you know, this is at the beginning, 89 views on Rumble, and I thought, wow, that is really strange. You know, it's normally much more the other way around, and other people have said the same thing. So it's like when you're putting out news like this that is detrimental to the masters of the empire. You know, they don't like that. So they are doing things to suppress it. I don't know if it's to discourage, you know, us from putting up videos like that, or is it to discourage people from watching them, saying, oh, there's only a certain amount of views, it must not be very good. I'm not going to watch it. Maybe both. I don't really know. Oh, we're going into the dark woods. Oh boy. I don't know if I ever told you guys that one time there was a joke. It's not a good joke, but I'll say it anyway. When there was a guy, he is a pedophile, and he had a little girl, and they were going into the woods like this, and the little girl looks up to this guy that's abducting her and says, "Mister, oh, I'm scared. It's dark in here. I don't like this. I'm scared." And he looks down at her and says, well, what should I think? I have to leave here alone. So that's a black humor type of joke. But I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have said it, but it's too late now. So anyway, that's about YouTube. Let's see what else I was going to talk about. This Munich conference is going on now, and officially it wasn't going on yesterday, but it actually was going on. And J.D. Vance, he made a speech, and and it was sort of like in support of Elon Musk and Donald Trump and what their obvious agendas are. And he was telling the Europeans, he said that China's not your enemy, Russia's not your enemy, maybe even Belarus is not your enemy. Your enemy is within. It's you yourself. I think he was mostly referring a lot to, the fake news and the fake, mind manipulations and all the crap that they're pulling. Then they pull it on themselves. Makes you wonder sometimes if they actually believe it, the crap that they're spewing out to scare their own people into giving them the ability to steal their tax money and filter it into Ukraine. Meanwhile, everybody in between gets to pocket a whole bunch of this money. It's just a way to steal people's money. Sending things to Ukraine, keep the war going, and on the way, all kinds of this money goes into other people. It's stealing the tax friggin' payers' money. Anyway, and the whole scheme is like that. And this USAID thing, all of this stuff is just uncovering how these governments are stealing the money from the people. I mean, and then they create these like these jobs. Like there's so many of these agencies, these, not just like the EPA and all that. I mean, those, they maybe have some sort of a benefit, but there's so many of these things, these letter agencies and things like that. And what they do is they have maybe somebody that helps them out, so they create some sort of an agency. And I've seen that in another country that I was living in, because that was exposed as well there. And I'll tell you about that one in a minute. But yeah, it's just to give payouts to people. It's like political favors. Oh, you helped me here and you helped me that. You made a donation, all that sort of stuff. And I've seen it. You go to these places and you see where there's a leader, and they have these little benefits for troubled girls or troubled boys and stuff. And then they have a benefit where maybe they also seek donations from business people. I know that I go into those, and then you're supposed to give some money, all that. And there's a lot of people there, kissing up on the leaders of the countries and all that. And it's obviously they want some sort of favors and all. And then they have these offices. For example, the country I was in, they built an airport, and then they created some sort of an office to construction of the airport or airport development project office or whatever the deal is. And the airport was already finished, and it was already 2 years finished. Everything was finished on it. It was operational, all that sort of stuff. But yet they still had the office there. And then there's this country. Also, think about this. Go to that country and you see like their consulate, the consul from Germany, the consul from many, a lot of countries, wealthy countries. And a lot of these people that are the consuls, they have to work. Some of them are like dentists, some of them are doctors and things like that. They have to pretty much support themselves in that country. And when they they can have another income by giving visas and things like that to people. So, and I don't know if they get that money or, depending on the country, I guess. But these people have to support themselves. But then, get this, you have a poor country. And I swear to you, this is the truth. The poor country, they have, say, a consulate, embassy, I don't know, in New York City. And their people there get chauffeured limousines. And this is a poor country. They get chauffeured limousines, luxury apartments, big pay, and all that. And it's like, well, what is there? Something really strange going on here, And while the country has a lot of people that don't even have a pair of shoes, things like that. So I'm just telling you that's how a lot of this stuff works. So, feeling sorry a lot of time for these different, even small countries. There's a lot of scam artists there and in government, and I could tell you much, much more. You know, small countries, it's sort of like when a country is small, it's like whatever happens there is like being under a magnifying glass. So you hear and you see a lot of things, you know, that you don't normally ever see. And then, you know, even a chance to meet these leaders of these countries and things like that. And, you know, anyway, I don't want to get into that too much. But what else do we want to say here? Oh, some people are now saying, you know, the regular people in the countries, and of course the leaders are pissed off at Vance for saying that they themselves are the enemy, not Russia and not China. And and the people in the countries are saying, we want Vance for president of the European Union, you know. But wait, no, you've got Ursula von der Leyen, you know. My God, you know, and what is she doing for Europe, you know? I mean, she's exposed Russia for taking the computer chips out of the washing machines and putting them in bombs, and then after they didn't have any washing machines, they took them out of the refrigerators. You know, it's like somebody came and knocked on my door here in Belarus, and they came and they took out the chips out of our washing machine. I don't know. And a matter of fact, as you all know, when that was exposed, she even doubled down on that. I think maybe like 7 months or whatever later, when everybody was laughing at her, she still maintained that. I mean, these people, it's just like Samantha Powers or Anthony Fauci. When these people are caught in vast corruption scandals, that they did very corrupt things. Hillary Clinton, there's no difference. And then they double down and they still say, no, I didn't, and this sort of a thing, you know? I mean, I don't know, I think there's a Jewish expression or something like that you deny and I don't even remember what it was, but you continue to deny, you know, when you get caught. You just keep on denying, you know, and a lot of times people get out of that. You know, you say, I didn't do it, I didn't, you know, maybe waiting for some opportunity to pass the buck on to somebody else, you know, my little brother did it, the little guy, he's the one that took the cookies. I don't know. Lindsey Graham was also there, and he even repeated what he said before, you know. He said that Ukraine is the dream ally. He said it's the ally that I've been dreaming. That's exactly his words, I guess, that he's been dreaming about his whole lifetime. The ally, you know. I mean, he might as well have come out and said the truth. You guys are, I mean, he said so much, you know, like that no Americans died, which is not true, of course. You know, there's at least 600, and of course, you know, an opportunity for a lot of them. And I tell you what, at least 600. There's more than that, I tell you what. Remember when they bombed that one place in the part of Donbass that was controlled by Ukraine, and somebody was recording there, and that got downloaded onto the internet? Lots of Americans are around there. You can see by, you know, I can tell you what, they're soldiers. I was a soldier too, and I can tell you these are American soldiers. These are not mercenaries. You know, these are American soldiers in there, and they're from the 101st Airborne Battalion, which had not long before that had actually set up a base in Romania, but they were operational right there in Ukraine too. And I don't know, just have to trust me on that one. And that's a definite 100% truth. And I know how the Army operates. Like I said, I was a soldier for that time, and we had soldiers when it was not mentioned. We had them deep in Iraq long before the Iraqi war started. I mean, and there's other instances of that and things that I've even heard of. I mean, it's just like the USAID scandal. There's so much crap, and if it can be possible, it is possible. That's all I would want to tell you. They're doing crap like you wouldn't believe. So, I don't know. Let's not get into that. Okay, Lindsey Graham, you know, like he's you know, like he said, he's so happy. He's so happy. You know, he said, for example, get this, you know, that no Americans are getting killed, which lie, but Ukrainians are getting killed, and that's great. But it's even better if they're killing some Russians. You're not killing as many Russians as Ukrainians getting killed, but both of them are something that I'm really happy about. He might as well have said that. You know, and even the Polish leadership has said that, oh, it's great that Americans are not dying, but Ukrainians are dying. And it makes you really wonder, well, what are the Ukrainians? What happens when they hear that? What do the Ukrainians think? You know, maybe that's why they're trying to get their asses out of Ukraine. getting swooped up off the streets and getting sent there with practically no training. Maybe they give them a uniform and some boots or something like that, and they send them out there to die, as cannon fodder, into the meat grinder. Jeez. They really must love their people there. And then they don't even take their bodies, and then they let them decay, and then they might just bury them in a pit, and then so that these commanders of these units can continue to get the pay from these soldiers, and then they split it up amongst those that are not yet dead. You hear a lot of stuff, Trump, since Lindsey Graham is happy with all this death, Trump said he wants to see the dying stop, but I don't know, I thought he meant that in Gaza and all that too, and maybe he actually does, but he just wants to dispossess these people of their land where they've been for 2,000 years, and he said it'll be great and they'll be happy. I'm talking about decent housing, and then we'll make huge amounts of money. We are going to take don't even believe any of this stuff yet. You got to wait and see what's going to happen and what the real deal was made behind closed doors between Bibi and Trump, and all you have to realize is that these brown-skinned people in the Middle East are going to be losing out. Yeah. But Zelensky doesn't care. He's more than willing, more than happy to spill the blood of Ukrainian people. He loves them so much, And I'll tell you what, Lindsey Graham, he wouldn't really give a crap if Americans were dying either. These people, they care about themselves. They care about their money, their comfort, their luxury bomb shelters, anything like that. I think maybe the person that was saying that I should maybe go into the woods, maybe they saw this one before and they wanted to maybe see this again. Going through the woods here. And I like the woods too. I love forests. I like I said, I had land in the Caribbean, and I had lots of, it's forested. There's just like 5 acres, actually 4 acres. So, and a lot of trees. I planted lots and lots of trees. Planted valuable trees too. A lot I planted teak and mahogany, and a couple pink ivory trees and blue maho, and what else? Acacia tree. A lot of these are tropical woods. A lot of you guys don't know about it. I like trees. So just to tell you that, from Washington State as well, where the forests are at. I feel so fantastic here. And maybe some of you guys do too. I'm going to show you up there in the more closer to the canopies. Heaven. It's still maybe too cold. A lot of people aren't up and about here. I'll go shopping for their food for the weeks. Okay. But let's see, should add that Dmitry Medvedev, he was talking also, and he said this back in August, that the main reason for the United States being there, of course, is these minerals and things. And he didn't say, but at that time, but I think he's hinted at it, and the Russian leadership knows this very well. It's to get the Crimea as well. And I always say that, and I say that I'm really grateful, because I was harping on this for well over a year, and no other vloggers were talking about it. And it's partly, because, like I said, I was an enlisted person, and I met, and my job was to escorting. I wasn't an escort. I'm not talking about that kind of escort, but I was driving, and we made hotel reservations and things for a lot of mostly military VIPs, but politicians and things like that. Sometimes I had opportunities of talking to them, and but you hear most from, say, their aides. I don't mean that aides either, but their aide de camp and their XOs, executive officers and things like that, majors and whatever, and more than you do from these generals or these congressmen and senators and things that a lot of time I didn't speak too much with them anyhow. Except maybe Jack Kemp, guy ran for president, and he was in charge of HUD under George Bush II. I liked him a lot, and his family, his wife Joanne. But Anyway, but a lot of these people, and something that I heard from a number of these people was that it was a big goal, the big goal, one big goal and a dream of the United States. It was at that time to kick Russia out of the Crimea. But of course, after the fall of the Soviet Union, it's it's absolutely logical to know that the United States, they changed their goal a little bit and they wanted to take control of the Crimea. They were taking control of all these countries, so why not the Crimea? And the main reason for that was they thought that if you deprive Russia from this warm water port, that they will cease to be an empire and they will have thereby neutralized Russia. And that's not even really true. It's a, because Russia, even at that time when it was actually under Ukrainian control, they were developing the port at Novorossiya. Russia still has the east, Vladivostok, and and they could have, at certain other times, Murmansk and those kind of places there's even Kaliningrad. But obviously, Kaliningrad is a thing that they, if any war broke out, they would neutralize that and cut off, because it's an enclave. They would have cut that off from Russia. So, I mean, this is just all big strategy stuff, and that's the only kind of stuff that I'm sort of interested in, instead of the small skirmish sort of thing. So, but it's strange that Scott Ritter or none of these people ever mentioned that, and they're not talking about that stuff now. They're just mostly talking about these resources. So, and another thing, I'll just say at this time, but talking about this sort of thing, and a lot of you out there are thinking people, smart people. I'm really grateful that a lot of you guys are on my channel, because I noticed by your comments and you're recognizing these things I say, and it all makes sense, and trust me, it does. And you'll hear about a lot of things like that, maybe from other people, maybe from these people that I've even mentioned that don't talk about this thing. At some point in time, they probably will. Just like Jeffrey Sachs, he mentioned that it was a big goal to get to Crimea, and I was waiting for somebody to say that, for like well over a year, and I had just put that out only because, and I was thinking everybody knows that. Maybe there's other things that I know, from my time in the service, that other people are not talking about. I should maybe pay attention more and start looking at this. But I know, we were filled with lots and lots of lies, and I was also in an intelligence unit. I wasn't an intelligence officer. I mean, I was a non-commissioned officer, but I was not involved in any sort of spying or nothing, not per se. We were combat spies in our unit. And it's like, you get camouflage on, you carry a bunch of water, you go behind enemy lines, you get trained for that, and you're spying, with some binoculars, and you had a little thing, tick, 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 and it goes up to a satellite, and it tells other points of like how many tanks they have and things like that. So it's a lot of time that was called in the Vietnam's times, it was LRPS, but in our days it was LRSD, Long Range Surveillance Detachment. And I think they banned those now. And then I had time, like I was telling you, going, I did basic training, and then you go through like a little bit of chemical training and all that in Fort McClellan, Alabama. And now it's toxic, it's off limits to human beings in a lot of places. I had to go through some of the things at that time and all that. And it's I'm talking about in some places, Fort McClellan is shut down, and there's places there where humans are not supposed to go because of the toxicity. I don't know. I was even at Fort Dix, New Jersey. Now it's called Fort Eisenhower, I guess. And I did some training there, and I did Fort Gordon, Georgia. It was 6 months, but training in different areas of anti-terrorist training. And believe it or not, the Germans taught us a lot of that, evasive driving and things like that in Stuttgart. Well, near Stuttgart, a place called Weinigen-Enz. And it was in the wintertime. It was about maybe this time of year when I actually went through that thing. And oddly enough, they had people training from Iran after us, But what it was is when you're getting trained to do like driving stunts in case some terrorists are after you or they block you off and that sort of thing. Interesting kind of stuff, in case anybody wants to know. But let me get back onto news. Otherwise, this is going to be too long of a video. So let's get through this thing fast here, just to let you a little bit know about me. Anyhow, so wait. Well, it's yeah, but the whole goal, obviously, I don't know, I was kind of got off line here. I wasn't reading from my card. I actually can write pretty good, but I don't read from my cards, but it was a goal of the West is to deprive, like I said, Russia of the Crimea. And this has been a goal for quite a long time. And at one point in time, as you know, the Ottoman Empire, they had control of the Crimea, and Russia got that, and at the end of that time, and the British wanted it. So it was kind of a fight that the British wanted the Crimea at that time, and then they play coy in the West, like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Well, we're not interested, but they actually are. They want the Crimea. It's mostly just to neutralize Russia, obviously. And we're talking right now about that if there's like this agreement that Zelensky has to make some land concessions and all that. This is going to be a really tricky time, and I don't really know how Trump might be able to pull this off anyway. But from the Minsk agreements, actually, Ukraine was to retain the whole entire Donbass, but they kept bombing their people. So in other words, you could say they were bombing and killing their own people because these people did not really want to be Ukrainian, and they wanted to continue speaking Russian, and they were trying to impose on those people, you are not allowed to speak Russian, you're forced to speak Ukrainian. And it's like, they don't realize, like what it's like, for example, in Switzerland, where they speak 3 languages, and then there's nobody trying to kill those people because they don't want to switch over to French or to German or to Italian. And there's maybe even some people that speak some kind of a dialect of Latin, I think. Maybe there's other languages also in Switzerland. I don't know. But it works there, But oh, no. Because us in Ukraine, we're the master race. And you all know that it's a lot of fake history. Everything is like, the whole West is fake. So that's why Ukraine fits really well into the West, because they're even more fake than most all the fake crap that the West puts out about everything. So, and that's one reason it's very, it's really refreshing, seriously, to be in Belarus. And they don't go for this fake crap, They know that they have maybe some things a little bit uncomfortable in the past. They don't deny them. And but I think for the most part, Russia has been very careful. They don't really have such nastiness in the past as what was happening in the West, maybe starting with the Crusades and all the nasty things that they've been doing over there. Okay. But anyway, the Minsk agreements failed because Zelensky said, no, we want the Crimea and blah, blah, blah. And, they weren't listening to Russia, just like the other West never listened to Russia. Their security things, stop, pushing and trying to take, and they did it. And they used the fake news to make everybody think that Russia just got up one morning and invaded. And believe it or not, Turkey still wants the Crimea to a large extent. Erdogan is kind of sitting there thinking, well, maybe we can arrange to set up a condition where maybe in the future we can get it too. I saw that not long ago, but I don't want to get into that. So, the mineral wealth of Ukraine, I guess. Some people are putting it at, believe it or not, like $14 trillion. And a little less than half of that is under Russian control. So I guess you could say the majority of it is still under Western Ukraine's control. Even though, I don't know. I think maybe it's a little bit harder to get to. I think the one on the Russian side is a little bit more centralized in the Donbass area, and the other place is a little bit more spread out. But anyhow, that's just to put that to you. And there's still plenty for the U.S. to plunder. That's what I'm trying to get at there. And Trump, this is a big contention here. Trump said he wants $500 billion to pay back the United States and give them a nice sizable chunk as well for what the United States put into the war against Russia. And he's saying $300 billion is what the United States probably about right. Maybe that's including all of the private things like BlackRock and all their investments. Because I'll tell you what, it might be possible that BlackRock bought some of these lands that are under Russian control, and maybe, I don't really understand, I'm not sure, I'm not privy to all this information. Maybe Trump thinks the government is going to have to reimburse BlackRock, or maybe Trump made some deal with them, so that's why the amount is up to 300 billion instead of the 177 billion. But you never know these numbers. And then, oh, we found an accounting mistake, and it's actually this number. You know how they do that crap. Whatever it works out to their advantage. Oh, we found an accounting mistake, so now we can give Ukraine another $5 billion. Maybe that's part of that deal. I have no idea. You guys have been watching the news, and you hear about this kind of stuff. These are a bunch of crazy, greedy, I don't want to use that bad language, but they're not very good people. They're not nice people, and stealing money. And don't worry, it's the taxpayers will pay it all. If not, we'll just keep fleecing them a lot. We'll raise their retirement age up much higher. We'll reduce their payment. That's all it takes. Don't worry about it. They don't care. They're not united enough. They elect congressmen and stuff, but we have them too. We bought all them. So don't worry about it. It's all taken care of. Sorry to tell you the truth, everybody, but that's what it is all about. Okay, what else? The mineral wealth, 500 billion. Oh, there's this sort of a deal, and apparently, and this is the big talk over here. It must be mentioned also over there in the West. But they went to Zelensky. He's at this Munich conference as well, and they brought him some sort of a document to sign, and he didn't sign. Zelensky's not that dumb. He might not care if he, wastes a couple million of his people, spills their blood and all that. But, and he doesn't really care so much about Ukraine either. I mean, he's shown that. But, in this time, I think maybe he's afraid because the wind of change is happening right now, and maybe he's going to have to be a little bit more accountable for what he does. Because the USA is kind of stepping out, and there's a chance that he could be in some trouble. So in this agreement they sent to him, and they wanted him to sign, it said that the United States gets 50% of all of the future extracted mineral wealth of Ukraine. And I guess that even includes some gas and oil, as well as, a lot of aluminum, and there is titanium. There's even uranium involved, and then a lot like beryllium and all these other kind of smaller things, but the United States really needs those. And I guess I think it was out of 30 very badly needed minerals that the European Union needs, there's 22 of them in Ukraine. And as I mentioned, and maybe a lot of other people are not mentioning so I have to throw this in to say, hey, I'm saying stuff the other guys are missing in the vlogs and stuff. But Germany wanted this, and there's obviously a secret deal, gone on behind closed doors. They were supposed to get the energy from Zaporozhye, but they're not going to be able to take that, and looks like they kind of gave up on that. Oh, dang, and that was an agreement with the Greens Party, but closed down all of the nuclear power plants in Germany, and then we'll just get that energy from Ukraine, because obviously, it's not like Germany says, well, let's just close down all our energy and get poor. I mean, you look at them and you say, these are a bunch of friggin' idiots. What the heck are they doing? Well, maybe they're idiots too. And I was thinking Schultz was compromised. Probably not compromised. I think he might just be stupid. I really don't know. And corrupt, of course. He's known to be corrupt as well. But anyhow, they have BMW failing and Volkswagen failing, and these things are all failing. And if they were to get, for example, they're losing a lot of that energy. That's mostly the reason, the cost of the energy. And Trump is saying, you better buy our energy or we're going to put even higher tariffs on you guys. Good luck on that. So you guys are going to get even poorer, and we're going to sit back and laugh at you while most of your industries come to the United States. And a lot of them did. He said, well, you guys can avoid having these tariffs by just coming to the United States. It's like, what the crap, and Trump doesn't sound like a very nice guy when it comes down to that. But anyway, they're supposed to get a lot of these minerals. Germany was counting on that. I don't know what share of them or whatever, what deals were made in the past. And but Schultz is really stinking mad because now he's getting undercut by Donald Trump getting these minerals. And you see that he's very, very angry about that. And Europe in general is very angry because, it's like, well, Trump could say, well, you made the deal with the other guy, that guy with dementia. He has dementia. I don't, we're not going to stick with that sort of a thing, So it's amazing. It's amazing. So, and a lot of the United States, and Schultz is also kind of pissed off. And as you know, I mentioned yesterday in the other video that Annalena Baerbock is really pissed off because Trump didn't call her before he called Zelensky. Now, damn you, you have to get permission from me before, something like that. I don't know, because I'm Annalena Baerbock. 360 degrees Annalena, they call me. I'm gonna burn you to 360 degrees. I don't know what she thinks, but anyway, Schultz is pissed, and all of Europe is pissed off. And what was I going to say? Something else about I don't know if I even wrote it down, about Schultz. Anyway, maybe it's not that important. I got myself sidetracked again. No, you did it, you guys. Let's see. What else? Let's see. Oh, I made it through my first card. Yeah, well, anyway, I was just going to say that Zelensky, he refused to sign this. I guess he was very polite about it, and he says, well, he said his excuse was, which is also viable. I need a chance to read it, but a lot of people are saying, oh, maybe he's trying to back out, because I think, and this might be very true, he actually wants the war to keep going, and it's not because of the sake of the war and to, watch his people die. He wants that land back, and he's thinking that all he needs is for the West to get involved. I think he has this hope and this dream that the West is going to get involved, send troops, and use the big guns and go after Russia. And I'll tell you what, even if that happens, they're not going to beat Russia. They're not going to beat Russia in Russia's backyard, and Europe doesn't have the capacity to do that, along with the United States even. And if there was a fight, if the United States was to fight Russia in that hemisphere, Russia would probably lose, unless there's nuclear bombs and stuff being used. But it's like very much even more so that if the United States these days was to be fighting Russia in Russia's backyard, they would not win. Russia is a lot more powerful now than it was 3 or 4 years ago. So, and they understand a lot more about warfare, and these are seasoned troops, and you got a bunch of probably gays and transvestites still in the American military. They probably haven't gotten rid of those all yet. And the military is a lot different than when I was in. We had it much, much, much tougher. And I was hearing about some of the changes that are being made, and I say, what the crap, I went through hell a lot of times in the U.S. military. You had to be a lot more disciplined, things like that. But that's another story. Okay, so what is it? Yeah, if he did sign that, signing away half of the minerals of Ukraine, I mean, just think what he could just go ahead and stay in Munich. He's not going to be welcomed when he gets back home. And then they're trying to get Poroshenko. They're trying to convict him for treason because they're saying he sold off a lot of Ukraine to foreign interests. But then what happens if Zelensky comes back home during the trial of Poroshenko and he sold off far more than what Poroshenko sold off when he was the president of Ukraine? It shows how much they love their country, I mean, these are friggin' criminals anyway. But let's not get into that. Let's see. Oh, what I was getting at is the United States was saying they don't want to even deal with Schultz whatsoever. They said he's on his way out anyway. So why do we want to deal with this joker? Obviously Schultz is going to be gone. Nobody likes that guy. He's a duplicitous, panty waist kind of a guy anyway. And I think Alice Weidel has more balls than Schultz. So, oh, did I say that? I'm going to get taken off. Yes. Oh, Frederick Merz, he's the guy from the CDU. And, he wants to keep the war going. He wants to send bigger. I mean, Ukraine is betting on him. They want him because he wants to send more devastating bombs and things to them, and all that sort of a deal. And he used to be with BlackRock. Now that was very interesting. I didn't know that. He was a big BlackRock guy, and he's the guy that got BlackRock heavily involved in Germany. And apparently of the top 30 firms in Germany, BlackRock has very, very much control over 15, half of the biggest firms, including Siemens of Germany. And as you know, BlackRock is heavily, heavily invested in Ukraine. So it's like BlackRock. And I wrote down here, where was that? Oh yeah, they're worth, believe it or not, over $11 trillion. It's like, you look at the United States and their economy, maybe what their GDP is and all that sort of a thing. And then you kind of look at, well, what is the difference between the United States? BlackRock has actually, they definitely have more money than the United States does. The USA, like a GDP, they have to create that kind of money, and BlackRock right now controls $11 trillion, more than most countries on Earth. Well, more than of course, more than every country on Earth. Maybe, I don't know, what about China? I don't know about that. But they're even involved in the Gaza crisis, making money from that, BlackRock. Great guys. And Larry Fink, I guess in the last World Economic Forum meeting, he suggested that the world governments and the big rich and the powerful people have to have a more aggressive approach on depopulation. So that means like more wars, more of these medical things, with the software guy, and that software guy, I said, I think I can mention that, and I think maybe that's one reason. I don't know, I'm hoping that's not a reason they deleted me before, but there's a magic number and it's called 15. And if you guys know what that is, and I don't know, you'd have to maybe have watched a lot of the news and things like that. Bill Gates, anyway, the guy whose name I'm not allowed to speak about, he mentioned 15%. And if you guys are lucky enough to see this video before it, maybe it'll get deleted. You'll know that it's about the number 15, So I'm afraid to say anything about this stuff anymore, because if I get deleted this time, I'm gone for good. So I'm trying to stay away from all that sort of stuff. And the strange thing is, Trump said BRICS is dead. BRICS is dead? I don't understand where he's coming from there, He says because if it's not dead, he's going to impose 100% tariffs, and it makes you wonder if he's actually really trying to end BRICS this way. It's really amazing to see what's going to happen. I mean, this is a suspense movie. I mean, I'm waiting to see what happens. It's going to be really interesting if he's going to pull something like that off. Yes. Also, Tucker Carlson, he interviewed Viktor Orban. And as you know, Orban and Fico, they're the only responsible leaders in Europe. And the other guys are a bunch of wacko nut job. I don't even friggin' know what their perspective is and where they're coming from. If they're just totally corrupt or if they're totally stupid, maybe a combination of who knows what. These other leaders, Kaya Kallas, or even look at people like Ursula von der Leyen and Olaf Scholz and Macron. Sometimes he seems like he's a little bit making sense and all. He says some things. Maybe he does it for public consumption. Maybe he knows what's going on. I don't really know about Macron, but look at his country. So, he said, Orban is saying, and he might have a good point here, because I can actually talk about this too. He said that it's going to be difficult for Trump to get Russia to stop the war while they are winning. So why is Russia, while they're winning, going to be stopping? And it's interesting, but I think Putin is actually more for people. Obviously, he's more for people, so he would actually. So it's interesting, but I don't want to get into that because I don't want to have. This is already 49 minutes long. Damn. Okay, and I want to say, let me get this and try to get it fast here. The truth is, the proxy war between Russia and the USA. I'll kind of say it how I wrote it here. The EU, the UK, and Ukraine, they're nothing more than just they're tools. They're tools of the United States, and sometimes they're tools of each other as well. and the greedy, Nazi-infested, useful idiots. Peace was not possible under Biden. This is kind of how I wrote. If the EU and Ukraine are part of the negotiations, which they're sitting there and they're fuming because they want to be part of the negotiations, then there won't be an end to this, because these people, Zelensky, he's complete. He wants. He not only wants all of that territory back, he wants Putin to get the death penalty, and then he wants huge amounts of reparations. That was his stance, and that was his peace thing, and he was pushing that for years. So it makes you wonder, well, how is he going to come from that position down to losing territory and actually having to face reality? And that's one reason why now, I'll get to that in a minute, what his new proposal is. So this is going to be a little bit longer video. And the EU, they want relevance. They're a dying entity, the European Union, obviously. And of course they wanted those minerals and things like that. And then they made who knows what kind of a deal with Joe Biden about, that, and obviously you sat there and you were watching this stuff and watching, the pipeline get blown up, and Olaf Scholz was like, and Jeffrey Sachs, another person, he said immediately, we know who did it. The United States did it. I mean, you got to be stupid to think otherwise. And then Olaf Scholz said, hey, I got this deal. He ran over to the United States at one time after Seymour Hersh, remember, he released his story about what he very, 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 very much believes actually happened. And Schultz ran over to the United States, and they created like I think it was Alex Cristoforo saying the SS Minnow and the skipper and Marianne and all that. They went out there, and they're the ones that planted the bombs on there and all bunch of BS crap like that. They rented this little pleasure yacht and did all that, and it's completely fantasy and lies. It's. You can look at the boat and take a look at that. The whole story is just nothing but a concoction. I think they might have even changed it after that and trying to make it more plausible and adding to it, but it's, some people are talking, about say Ukraine joining the EU, actually Russia should want that because they'll suck it dry. Ukraine sucked the Soviet Union dry. All that corruption, all that money disappearing, people getting rich, fabulously rich, maybe scooting off to some other place. I don't know what the heck they're doing. A lot of rich Ukrainians, and that's how they do it, a lot of corruption. And it's been like that for many, many generations. It's a country, if it didn't run with corruption, they wouldn't run at all, That's just how that place is. And if you think about, well, what do all these countries want? And you can just exclude Ukraine and the EU because they're going to screw it all up. And then you can say, well, between Trump and Russia. So what does Russia want? What does Trump want? Trump wants at least to get all that money paid back, of all that money that his predecessor, crazy Joe Biden got them into a big bunch of mess. And Russia is there for people. Trump, of course, will take the money for the resources. All that, get the money back. And of course, Trump wants a recognition for being the guy, I brought peace. Look at me, I killed ISIS. Look at these great hands. All this sort of crap. That's what Trump wants, And recognition, he wants the money back. And of course, if he doesn't get the money back, then people are going to look at him, well, why did you get out of the bed? We had Russia on the ropes and all that. Like Lindsey Graham thinks so. He thinks that. What did he say? He just said yesterday, we are kicking Russia's ass, which obviously he's in a fantasy world too. All these people, I don't know where these people come from. But anyway, maybe Trump knows a little bit more about the truth, about what's happening in that conflict. And of course he wants to go home and look real good. And I'm the savior. Look at, not only do we get paid back, we got extra money. We didn't get too many Americans killed. He'll say zero. You know how that is. And so, it's possible, I'll tell you what, it's very, very possible that all that stuff could happen. Russia's going to be tough as well, and they're less interested in the resources. And if need be, they might even strike a deal with the United States where there'll be a joint venture of mining even in the Donbass area, that the United States maybe gets some sort of a cut in that as well. Because I don't think that that's the primary reason or any big reason why Russia is there. They're there to save the people, and And the big question is, what about Odessa? What about Kharkiv? Even Kiev? If you read a history of Russia, the beginning of the history of the Russian peoples, not Russia before the Russians, with Scythians and Cimmerians, just like what you saw in, they use that word in Conan the Barbarian, and they think that's all fantasy, but there actually were Cimmerians, not Sumerians, Cimmerians, and of course that's part of the southern parts of Russia. But in any case, when real Russia started, it was Kiev Rus. So that was the beginning of the Russia. The history of Russia is Kiev. That's a Russian city, just like Odessa and Kharkiv. And it's amazing that they weren't killing those. They killed a lot of people, as you know. I don't know, when was that, back in maybe in 2004 and all that. They burned and they killed all those Russians when they were in that one place. The Nazis. I mean, there's a huge amount of Nazis all over, even though it's probably not the majority of the Ukrainians. But there's a lot of people, and maybe they sympathize. And of course, this is spread into the Baltics. You got this Nazism, people that don't even know they're Nazis, which is amazing. But, okay, boy, I'm going to make this an hour. This is terrible, this video. Hope you guys don't mind. So, you can get Trump his recognition, get the money back, and you can get this thing stopped. But that would only require that the negotiations happen between Russia and the United States alone. And if you think about it, these other jokers, they don't have a dog in the fight. They're a bunch of friggin' idiots, I'd say get them the crap out of there, The EU and even Ukraine, it's their country. You'd think, oh yeah, well, they have to have a say in it. Well, no, they don't. They're a bunch of friggin' Nazis, and they're not going to accept, no matter what, any reasonable approach, they're not going to accept it. So it will be a stalemate. If you get Ukraine heavily on the side of one side of the negotiations and Russia on the other, it'll be a stalemate. The war will never stop. So that's my take. Unless Zelensky's going to be like this. But as far as these and I don't even know where. Okay, well, I'll get to that in a second here. Russia also wanted security. That was one of the main reasons, they don't want a bunch of Nazis that have vowed and been conditioned since babies to want to kill Russians. Crazy crap. Anyhow, I don't want to get into that. I get into that in other videos. Okay. Oh, that's another question. Well, what about Transnistria as well? Transnistria, highly, highly, highly sympathetic to the Russians, and yet that's kind of, it's a far stretch. I don't really know if they're going to be left out in the dust or not, and they're going through the troubles right now. I said in another video, heating and getting cut off from Moldova. Moldova is basically putting them under siege and trying to take them. Russia is sympathetic towards that. That's going to be another thing. We'll have to see how that works out. So Trump is probably, he's breaking up the hate Russia club. I guess the leader before was Biden, and Trump says, I don't want to be a part of this kind of a club. So maybe it's going to be a little tiny club, the Baltic states, and ooh, I'm getting cold here, and maybe Germany. But I'll tell you what, if Alice Weidel gets in there, she's not going to be part of the Russia club either. It's strange because it could all of a sudden just die out. So everybody hating Russia, you must hate Russia, to all of a sudden it not existing. That's going to be interesting to see this. Lets you know how this information and all this crap really takes hold of people and governments and all this. And it's really dangerous when you think about how they do this stuff, the power of this manipulation, Oh, another topic. Yes. Well, that the Baltic states, they cut off, receiving Russian energy, and at the moment their energy costs are 30% higher than it was beforehand. So now that they're getting their energy from Finland. And then there was like some of these underwater cables, and at first they were trying to say, Russia did it, when there's no evidence, and they found out Russia didn't do it. But then they're, like I said, they're trying to make sure that they can preclude Russia from the entire Baltic. That's another way to make sure that they cannot have any shipping into Belarus, because they can't use the port in St. Petersburg or any of that. That was another port I didn't mention earlier. But yeah, they're trying to cut Russia off from there, and then so Russia would be kind of, as if they have no ports whatsoever, except for maybe in the Far East, in Vladivostok or something. So, but it's possible if they repair this one other cable that they're going to, their electricity costs are only going to be 20% higher than what they were paying with Russia. So, but they're so proud, But it's 20% more. All their people have to pay 20, and they're already struggling. I'll tell you what, everybody talks about how far much better Belarus is than these Baltic states. Those states have far more potential, but yet they're terrible leaders and all this. And Belarus, that lets you know how well governed Belarus is under Lukashenko. That these people are far worse off in those countries when they have far more possibilities, and Russia or Belarus doesn't even have a port. Amazing, amazing, amazing. But I don't want to get into singing the praises yet too much of Lukashenko. I can do that maybe in other ones. But this is important as well. As you guys already know, I've already mentioned, that there's this deal, and other people mention this too, of trying to get these rare earth minerals and all that sort of a deal. And Zelensky is probably not happy about this. So what has happened is there's also the Prime Minister of Ukraine is also at this Munich conference right now. And he's floating the idea to the European Union. Hey, well, why don't we make a deal with you? We'll give you guys help us out instead of the United States, and we'll give you guys all of these minerals, And the Prime Minister, what's his name, Schmiegel? Schmiegel. Oh, the precious, I'll give you the precious. Oh, the precious, Those nasty hobbitses, Russians, those nasty hobbitses. Oh no, Schmiegel, you have to give it to the Russians because they will help you out and they're your people and you are a lot of this. No, Schmiegel, no, don't let those nasty hobbitses, Russians, get the precious. Oh no, we have to give it to the other guys, So, it's I'm sure you guys saw Lord of the Rings, but anyway, that's how that goes. So who's going to get the precious? Well, I think Russia is not really so much interested in that precious, but Donald Trump, of course, wants it. So I think that's how it's going to go, because ultimately this is going to come down because it's a proxy war between Russia and the United States. So, and started by old Joe Biden. And if I were Russia, I would go and say, to Donald Trump, you didn't start this war. This was this idiot guy that came in front of you. And, it was thrust upon us, and, the hit, the West has to take the hit, but Donald Trump can end up getting a lot of benefit, from the United States as well. And who should the punishment go to? Well, the European Union was very much involved in this. And of course, so was Ukraine and all the Nazis. So, let them take the hit, even though the United States was mostly involved in it, maybe they can bow out, maybe, as a cost to Russia, but anyway, forget about that. I don't know. I think I've got. Oh, I heard something. I don't know. Probably some birds or something. It's strange. I got this whole forest to myself. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Too bad it's cold. My fingers are freezing. I got to end this thing. Oh, this Schmiegel says, we are not a beggar country. And it's like, what the heck? You could have fooled me. Look at Zelensky. Everybody knows. They call him Beginsky. Maybe that's like a hobbit's name. Beginsky. The Beginsky, in the Shire or whatever the deal. I mean, well, he's not a hobbit, but he's I think Trump basically alluded to the fact that that Zelensky's probably the most successful beggar that has ever lived in the history of the world. And then this Schmiegel, he comes out and says, we're not a beggar country, blah, 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 and all this. That's just kind of funny, But anyhow, that's about it. That's all I have to say. Look at this. It's even light. There's lights here. Probably, at nighttime you can walk through here. And, women can go through here anyway at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's very, very strange. You don't have rapists and muggers and stuff like that. You never, ever, ever hear. Nobody's ever saying, don't go in the woods at night and all that. Most countries, you can't do that. This is just amazing. Belarus is an amazing country. And if you did not have a strongman type leader, this would not be possible. So I'll tell you what, you got to appreciate this guy, Lukashenko here. And I don't want to see him leave. And anyway, I don't want to, like I said, sing too much of the praises here. So Anyway, that's about all I have to say for right now, and I thank you guys for joining me. I might even make a video again today. I'm supposed to go to a flea market and just kind of show around, and it won't be a political one. And if I do that, you'll see it. You'll see it on my channel. But thanks for joining me, and thanks for all your support, everybody out there. So I'll see you on the next one, whenever that's going to be. Bye bye.